Welcome back to Halftime Talks. I know we've been gone for a while. That's because we had a little bit of a break over Easter, so we can, see our families and all that. But we are now back, and we will be summing up the week Premier League games. If you don't know, I'm Jay. To my right is Dan. To my left is Josh, and to his left is Connor. So,
like a ghost. Can I just say that?
Yeah, the lighting's against us today, so we do apologise for that.
We're not filming it on a regular time of Wednesday evening, so it's a bit light.
It's on filming the night, so this is a new one for us.
Yeah, but you still get the good content you came for, just a bit earlier.
This is Halftime Talks AM.
Alright, so let's start with the first game of the week, which was Fulham against Wolves. Wolves beat Fulham 1-0. So, firstly, it was a very close game. I don't know if you all saw it, but Traore scored in the 92nd minute, which is like down to the wire, very close. Connor, what have you got to say about Wolves just beating them?
The game went in the sense that Fulham went for it first half, which is what they do a lot of the time. And then they went in at half time, 0-0, and it seems like they just sat there and went, oh, we'll take a point here. We'll take a point against Wolves. Just want to check, is the microphone on? I know we had a little bit of a mistake the other week, so I just wanted to...
It said it's on there, but I'll have a little quick check on here on the computer.
Are we on?
Are we talking?
Yeah,
we're talking.
Yeah, we are talking.
I'll continue. And yeah, it's like Fulham went out in the second half and it was 0-0. It's like, oh, we'll take a point, but Fulham are not in a position to take points, and I think because they sat back, they just invited Wolves onto them, and I think eventually it was inevitable they're going to score. It's harsh that they scored in the 92nd minute because it's a bit sly on Fulham, but the reality is the way that they set up in the second half, they were asking for it.
Yeah, no.
Is it harsh? Because yes, it's harsh in fact it's so late on, but when you're Fulham and you're in the position you're in, you've got to keep your focus till that final whistle. Mm-hmm. So whether they score in the 60th minute or the 92nd minute, that Fulham team has to be switched on. They can't at the 92nd minute think, we've got a point here. And then Wolves go and score. Yes, they held well, but if they're scoring in the 92nd minute, for me that's Fulham sort of at that point just accepting they've got a point and not focus until that final whistle.
But it's like the mentality had switched at half time. I don't understand it with Fulham. It seems to happen every game. First half will go at a team and it could be working, and still at half time, if they've got a positive result, he'll change it to the point where they just become completely negative. And I think if you ask City to go and defend for 90 minutes, there's going to be one moment where they slip up. It happens at every team. Look, Fulham don't have the quality to defend for a full 90 minutes. But I just don't understand. We keep seeing it, and he keeps doing it. Why at half time is there such a mentality shift at Fulham? I do not understand it. And whether it's this Scott Parker not having the experience in which we talked about the last time, but it's every single half time Fulham have a mentality shift, and it's costing them.
Do you think, Raver, that maybe, because I agree with you, there always is, we've seen it game after game this season with Fulham, do you think it could possibly be the fact of Scott Parker knows he's not got the squad depth, he knows he's not got the options on the bench, and quite frankly, the Fulham players, do you think he worries maybe about, what's the right word, maybe if they go at a team for 90 minutes and their players start to tire, they get lethargical, do you think he knows he's not got the options on the bench to bring on and continue to do that? So do you think he goes, look, we'll go at them in the first half time, like, let's come out and let's just relax a little bit, because he knows his players are going to get tired if they keep pressing. He knows that with the options he's got on the bench, or the limited options he's got on the bench, if he continues to press, they could end up getting beat 3-4-0 if he has to bring on the options he does. Do you think it is a case of that, where he's looking at it going, I've got to keep the players on the pitch sort of fresh and fit, because I don't have the options on the bench?
I think with Fulham, with Scott Parker, it's sort of a culmination of everything you've just mentioned there. They don't have the greatest squad depth, they don't have the greatest options. They've got, I like Scott Parker, but at the end of the day, he's an inexperienced manager. He's not been in a relegation fight before. Not particularly as a player, never mind as a manager, when he has to lead them through it completely. And the thing, when you talk about it being a harsh result because it's the last minute goal, I don't think it's harsh in the sense that it is the last minute, because it doesn't matter if you concede in the first or the 90th. If you only concede one, that's it. That's the game. That's the 1-0. But I think it's harsh on Fulham in the respect of where they are. I think that's what makes it a harsh result, more so than the way in which it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that is a fair point from all of you there.
I think just quickly on Scott Parker as well. In the past 2 games, I mean, we've watched Fulham a couple of times. He's a cool geezer on the touchline. Doesn't lose his head.
Yeah.
The last 2 games he's lost his head. Like he's gone ballistic on the touchline. I think the pressure's probably finally getting to him, and it's going to be interesting to see how he then sort of prepares that weeks on. Now that he's lost his head twice on the touchline the last 2 games. Usually very calm and composed, but he's lost it the last 2 games. So be interested to see how that develops sort of towards the end of the season as well.
Well, as you just mentioned about how is he going to handle these next couple of games, Fulham just have lost the last 4 games out of the 5, and then next playing Arsenal, which is a big side, and they're doing quite well recently. If you were Scott Parker, Josh, what kind of, like, obviously you've had these 2 defeats, and he's obviously had his a bit of a rage, lost it a bit. If you were now Scott Parker, what would you be trying to do?
I think it's what they will do, and in a sense, I think it's what they have to do. They just have to keep playing the system they are doing. They have to keep coming at the teams and don't forget the goals. But I think when we talked before about the mentality shift at half time, where it's like, this is a situation we're in, this is what we're going to do now. I think if you go against Arsenal, go out at them and you're 0-0 or you're 1-1 or maybe you're 1 goal ahead, that's not enough to sit back on. You have to then keep going, maybe for a bit more than years, before thinking, you know what, this is when we're going to solidify. I think half time, with Fulham's squad quality and the options they have to keep that level, or I don't think they can particularly improve it from the bench. They need to be doing that sort of later on in the game, because 45 minutes is too much for them at a time.
It must be difficult. Like, imagine you're a player. Let's say you're a Josh Maja or a Ademola Lookman. The first half you're being told to get at teams. You're being told to be free, express yourself up top. You go in at half time. You might be doing very well. You might be playing well. You might be getting in behind the defender. You just want to carry on, go on. We'll get the goals. Scott Parker says to you, right, now don't really cross the halfway line. We're gonna sit as a unit. Don't get forward unless they're really open, and don't let them exploit us. You don't think Jacob, Dan, anyone, that's not going to be frustrating as a player, and it's not going to be hard to keep adjusting to how you're playing.
Playing as a striker, it would annoy me. It would annoy me. I think Scott Parker's probably looking at it rightly. Well, I'd say wrongly, but in the sense of the first half is where we're going to try and nick a goal, and I think if we don't nick a goal or we don't concede a goal in the first half, that's when he wants to sit back. As a striker, as the likes of Josh Maja, yes, it would annoy me, because I mean, we all sort of know the attitude of Josh Maja. He believes in himself. He's obviously a player who knows he can score goals. We've seen him do it. He will probably be thinking that he wants to get forward and help the team, but then the manager's saying, "Look, hold on, sit back." At the end of the day, I think, as frustrating as it is, obviously it's Scott Parker's decision. I do feel sorry for the likes of Josh Maja, especially when he's got his move to a Premier League team, and he's now being told sit back after 45 minutes. It is frustrating for them, especially the likes of Ademola Lookman. I think it's poor management from Scott Parker, in the fact of he's not trying to go and get results. He's trying to go and just nick points. And we've seen it before. I think they can beat Arsenal. Arsenal aren't that good of a team. You say they're not actually really doing that well. But if Fulham go at Arsenal like they have done the other big teams this season, Fulham can get a result against Arsenal. They can do it. We've seen them do it. But they have to go for it. Trying to nick points in the position they're in, it's not going to work. It's not what you can do. Very literally, look, especially with the other results this weekend, they just have to go and try and get results, not just nick a result or hope for a draw. They've got to go and play for 3 points. And look, if at the end of the season they still go down, we'll all sit here and we'll still say, look, they went at teams, they went to get results, they went and actually played like they wanted to win. If they do that and go down, fine. It's a lot more respectful than not believing in yourselves and going trying to nick a couple of points here and there and hope that it's enough to stay up. When other teams around you are going to win games, it's not enough. But I do think that if they do go at Arsenal, like Josh and Connor said, for the full 90 minutes, I think they could get a result.
Just to piggyback off that, like obviously Dan's talked about like Scott Parker, having poor management there and just wanting to just nick a point. But if I was a player and even if we don't concede, don't score in the first half, if we played really well and then we get told, oh no, you have to play, stay back now, it feels like my manager has no confidence in me and my teammates
100%.
to keep pushing forward to trying to score goals.
100%.
Because we've seen them play beautiful football. Like they've done brilliant passes, got some good goals when they have been just full attacking, and that is how they are thriving the plays. When I see them play,
No,
and
I
then
completely agree.
and then seeing my manager like, right, I know you played well in the first half, but now I want you to stay back. Like I don't, we've not scored, stay back. I'm like, but we played well. We could, if you let us keep going at it, we can get the goal.
Yeah,
I feel like that.
I think
What
that's
Scott Parker's
It's a fair
missing.
assessment.
it's a very, very,
I
very
think,
valid point.
do you know what I think it is with Scott Parker? I think it's his tactical knowledge, because in the sense of what baffles me is, like, you nailed it before there, Banksy, the fact of if Fulham try and defend for 90 minutes, right, they're gonna concede because they don't have that quality to hold for 90 minutes. If they're going at teams like this 0-0 at half time, they've not conceded. Yes, they've not scored, but they've also not conceded, and they've not been in real danger of conceding. Surely you just carry on going at the team, keep pressing the ball. If you press and you go at the team, right, a lot of teams in the Premier League now, when pressed, don't know what to do with the ball. There's a lot of teams who don't. Wolves, especially without the likes of Jimenez and maybe a couple of the players who've got up top, if you press that Wolves side, they can't exactly play the ball quickly to anyone because they've no one up top that they can rely on to play the ball quickly to. Going in 0-0 at half time after pressing a team and going for it says to me your game plan's working, you're creating chances and you're not in a massive danger of conceding. For me, it's poor tactical knowledge from Scott Parker of then going, alright, well what we best do now then is just sit back. But he's got to know, because when he's done it before, they concede, they lose. So it's Scott Parker for me has to adapt, and he's just got to improve his tactical knowledge and his in-game management. That's a big one. But
He was never good at either of those in the Championship. He had the quality of squad that they were going to go up in the because he did just have players. But I recall when they relegated us on the last day of the season, we obviously went 1-0 up, but we wanted to get that second just to ensure that we'd stay up, and we threw everything at Fulham, and we literally left it to the point where it's Balogun and Kipper sitting back. Scott Parker still decided he wanted to sit back. If he'd have said, let's get at them now because they've left themselves really open, they had the quality to do it, but he still decided he wanted to sit back. And yeah, okay, they got the goal, but it was a lucky free kick that wasn't a free kick, but I'm not going to get into that. So they got the goal really lucky, but had he have said on that day, right, they've left themselves really open, they want the second goal, we're going to go at them, they'd have beat us 3 or 4-1. They had the quality to do it, but he still didn't, and I think it's something Scott Parker needs to get right if he's going to have another crack at the Premier League.
yeah, that's the thing. He seems to struggle to adapt. He seems to struggle to actually know his in-game tactics and how to change in his philosophy in terms of winning games. He seems to struggle to do that, and like you said there, in the Championship, when you've got a squad like they had, you can get away with it. In the Premier League, like you with the big boys, things like that don't wash. It won't work. Managers, time and time again, have been found out. Big managers as well have been found out through that. The same will happen to Scott Parker if he doesn't start to get those parts of his game better. Because Fulham, we've said it before, Fulham have the quality to be in the Premier League.
Yeah.
But, and as harsh as it is to say it, I do think it's Scott Parker that's letting them down.
Yeah, no, that is a fair point. But let's move on to the second game of the week, which saw Leeds beating Man City 2-1. And my first question to you is, City really shouldn't be losing that game. Could it be due to them being a bit overwhelmed with the Premier League and the Champions League? Dan, what are your thoughts? Do you think they're a bit overwhelmed, that's why they lost, or what do you think?
I don't think they're overwhelmed, because I think if anyone, to be honest, I think if anyone in the world has got the squad to compete on every sort of front, it is Manchester City. Do I think it's maybe a lack of focus? I don't know. Do you know what? I'm not going to discredit Manchester City. I'm going to credit Leeds, because completely the opposite to what we just said about Fulham. Leeds had 10 men and still went at Man City, knowing, look, if we lose, we're expected to lose. But they went at them, they carried on, got an absolutely fantastic result. I don't think Manchester City are overwhelmed, but I agree, I do think they should be winning that game. But for me, I think it's more credit to Leeds and the way they went out and played than what it is necessarily against Manchester City.
Yeah, no, that is a fair comment. But Connor, what do you think about this whole overwhelm? Do you think they kind of let themselves slip in the Premier League to win the Champions League, or
overwhelmed? No. Bit lazy and sloppy, maybe. Yes. Like Dan just said, if there's any team that's going to play in 4 competitions and have a big enough squad to do it, it is City. They can put out a B team and it's still better than half the Premier League, probably even more than half the Premier League. But the reality is, and yeah, we're talking City are going to win the league at the end of the season. I'm pretty confident of that. But like I've said, and I said before this, 2 more bad results, which if you go out and be sloppy again, it can happen. You've just been beaten by Leeds. No offence, you shouldn't be beaten by a 10-man Leeds as well. Obviously, credit to Leeds, but there's nothing saying another 2 bad results and you do really open the door. I don't think they will, but I'm saying if they have that mentality, and I'm pretty sure Pep will eradicate it because he's very well driven. But if they do it again, 2 more bad results, we'll talk about the doors back open. But I do still think City win the league. But I do want to say, massive credit to Leeds, because at 10 men, to then be pegged back at 1-1 and then still have the drive to go and win the game, like fair play.
Rivo, I've got a question for you, and to be honest, anyone else will answer it, because I think it might cause a bit of controversy. I obviously said a couple of weeks ago in the podcast about Man City and the quadruple, and about they always seem to fall out somewhere. I do still think Man City are going to win the league.
Yeah.
Do you think, as well driven as Pep is, do you think Pep Guardiola panics and maybe loses some form of focus, like Colin said, and the team comes when he's still got to fight on all fronts and there's the pressure on him to go and win 4 trophies? Do you think he panics a little bit and causes Manchester City, obviously in the Premier League this time, yes, they were very lucky against Dortmund, but do you think when it comes to this stage and he's still got 4 trophies he can win, do you think he maybe starts to panic and that's where they start to fall apart? Or do you think it's a case of Manchester City just become a little bit maybe overconfident?
I've got a point in this after you
take yours. I think obviously the pressures of it, I say, more than a panic of it, comes into play when you're in all those competitions. Obviously you want to win them all, do as well as you can in all of them, but it takes one hell of a squad to go out and do it takes one hell of a squad to go out and do a double, never mind a triple, quadruple like we're talking about. If Pep maybe is showing a bit of a sign where he's like, I'm not too sure what to do we invest players here, then obviously that won't fill the squad with as much confidence. But I think more so than panicking, it just comes down to build up of fixtures, fatigue, the travelling. As good a squad as Man City are and as a high level athlete as they are, that will eventually build up, and then if you lose one, then maybe it becomes a sense of there's extra pressure on this, and I think it does sort of have a domino effect in that way. But I think it's the build up of all the stuff we talk about when in Europe, when in cups, when in an intense league like this, more so than a panicking.
Yeah.
See, I just want to quickly step in. Obviously, Josh said it's all the effects of doing all these competitions, but I also think the City squad are a bit overconfident with themselves. So, they're a good squad, it can't be denied. But I feel because the team they have is especially in the Prem when they've just stormed ahead, took that first position and ran. I feel like they get that confidence, like we can't be beaten now, and it's a
I
bad
think-
mentality to have.
I think you have to have it. If you're going to go well,
You
and
have to
win
have
as
it
much as
to a
you can,
point, I think.
And
'Cause-
then the results like Leeds, if it is a bit sloppy, if it is a bit relaxed, with a manager like Pep, with the mentality you have that you are confident and you know you can do it, that won't shatter you. That'll hit you and go, we go again, we get back
To
out
be fair, it's
there.
one thing being confident, but it's one being like it's kind of not egotistical, but a bit arrogant. Like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
we can't be beat.
It's
And I
to-
think it's,
I
it's
get
to
your
a
point,
point.
but I
I
think
get
you
what
have
you
to
mean.
have it.
It's to what line though does sort of confidence become complacency?
Yeah.
I mean, I know you've got the point on my Pep question. I think this will add maybe. You talk about, I know Josh, you said overconfidence is what you need. Yes, but when you're Manchester City, right, and you know you've got all four fronts, this is my point is, should Pep Guardiola now actually be keeping his squad focused and saying, look lads, right, don't think about winning these trophies,
Yeah.
think about next week, think about that next game, as opposed to them having the mentality and Pep giving Manchester City the mentality of, we are unbeatable, we are the best team in the world, we are this, we are that, this is the overcome. He needs to be keeping them focused. That's where I think the panic is setting in.
Yeah.
The fact of he's just running with his team and they're having this over, and they are becoming complacent,
Yeah.
like Connor said there.
Yeah.
But I'm intrigued. What was?
Yeah,
what was your?
So I'm going to go back to the last time City had a chance. I think they were on for a triple, and then we knocked them out of the FA Cup, and that was the first of the competitions they got knocked out of. 2 weeks later, they get knocked out of the Champions League. They win the Premier League. They do still win one. But I remember at half time, I don't know if any of you've seen the City documentary thing, and it was about the Wigan game. Obviously, they go down to 10 men just before half time. It's 0-0. They've absolutely battered us. Absolutely, like there could have been 7 or 8 up. Like if they take the chances. Pep gets them into the finger, and he screams at everyone.
Yeah.
You could tell pressure was on then. Pressure was on, and players went out and they were off for the second half, and we beat them. So it's clearly, I think Pep needs to be very careful of how he's driving these players, because if we go back to the last time he did it, where he's screaming at players, it didn't work. They got knocked out of the FA Cup by us, and then 2 weeks later we're at the Champions League. Yes, they still win the Premier League, but if you're on for a quadruple and you want to come out with one,
Yeah.
is it that successful?
It's true, but this what I mean. People, and I think people fail to ask questions of Pep Guardiola, because people say, all right, yes, he's an absolutely outstanding manager, but I think people fail to ask questions of where are his weaknesses, and I think that's one of them. When it comes to a front like this, where he's got the chance to win 3 or 4 trophies, I think the pressure gets to him, and I think he drives the squad in the wrong way.
Yeah.
So like Colin said there, either gives them an absolute, hairdryer at half time and they go out and they're awful, or he gives them too much confidence and they become complacent.
Yeah.
That to me is a weakness, and I think if you want to go out and win 4 trophies, you want to go out and win 3 trophies, you have to stay focused every single week, not focused on look how good we are and well we've won this many games in a row. That is irrelevant. If you don't go and win the next week, the fact that you've won 24 in a row is irrelevant. And for me, that it's Pep Guardiola and how he deals with the fact that his team are still on for 4 trophies. If they were only in the Premier League, I don't think they'd have lost that game to Leeds, and I think they probably wouldn't lose a game for the rest of the season. But I think because they're still on 4 fronts, he's a bit unsure here how to deal with different things, and he starts to panic a little bit, and the pressure gets to him, and then there's so many different feelings in the Man City squad. And I think that's why they become a bit complacent. It's why I said the other week, I think, as Colin said there, I do think that's the reason that they don't see out 4 trophies. They don't see out 3 trophies. I do think Pep Guardiola has some blame into that.
Well, talking about confidence, obviously this win will give Leeds a bit of confidence, beating Man City, the top of the table. Do you think they could ride this confidence and gain a few positions, maybe edge the way back into the top 5? Josh, what are your thoughts? Could Leeds now take this confidence and push themselves up into the top 5 area?
Top 5's generous, not so much for Leeds, but just for the teams you've got around. And we've said away from podcast before, can England win the Euros? And individually, they can on their squads. Leeds have got the squad to climb, but I don't think we will because of the teams we'd have to play and have to face. And that's the same, every one of the teams above Leeds is better than them. All but probably one of the teams below them is worse than them. I don't think it's not a fair question. It might leapfrog a couple of teams if, depending on how results go elsewhere, but I think they're in a fair position, and I think they had a really good season as well. First season back in the Premier. If they finished top half, I don't think any Leeds fan would be disappointed with that.
Well, full manager, yeah, we've had a good season.
But
But yeah, they have had a really good season. They have.
I also want to apologise to Leeds fans for a point I made a couple of weeks ago about Alioski, about him wanting to leave. I said that it shouldn't be sort of giving him hate for it, but the reason they're giving him hate for it is because he wants to go to Galatasaray, and obviously there is a massive thing between those clubs because of the stabbings that obviously happened in Europe. So I want to apologise to Leeds fans. I think I've made a point about it. Don't be stupid.
Fully researched it.
I fully researched it, and now I know where he wants to go, and I understand the sort of the meaning of that for Leeds fans is obviously deep rooted.
Yeah.
So I'd like to apologise for my point that I made on that one.
Yeah. We might do a tribute to it on our Instagram later.
Yeah,
we love a good tribute
loads
to
of
our
them.
fans.
No, I completely agree with Joshua. I think it's a fantastic season for Leeds. Regardless, I'm not going to get into it, but I still ask the question: how sustainable is it next season? But to answer your question there, I do agree with Josh. I think the teams above them are just better than them, and I think the teams above them are also winning games. So it's great if Leeds keep winning, but if the teams above them keep winning, it doesn't really mean anything for them. But it's a fantastic season back in the Premier League, and so even if you finish 11th, if you just miss out top half, if they finish mid-table there, your first season back is fantastic for them. But we'll see next season when I sit here.
Alright, well let's go on to something that made me and Dan very happy this weekend. Liverpool beat Villa 2-1 at home, which is made us very happy.
It was just winning a game that made me happy.
Yeah. Obviously, Salah scoring a goal in the first half, was it? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, second half, we were 1-0 down at half time.
Yeah, it was, yeah. Second half, getting us back into the game. And there was a bit of VAR controversy about Diego Jota being offside. And Dan, since you're a Liverpool fan, I'll come to you first. What do you think of the decision?
In the laws of the game, it's correct. Look, in the laws of the game, right, no Liverpool fan, and anyone who says differently, right, is a Liverpool fan, is simply being biased. In the laws of the game, he's offside. It's that simple. He was offside. In football, how we used to know and we love it, it's nonsense. But decisions are made in the laws of the game, and it was the correct decision. The decision was never, is he offside or not? But the thing they were reviewing was, has it touched Matty Cash? Now, the answer was no, so he is offside. I've obviously said it before. The thing that I find a bit confusing with it is, if Matty Cash, obviously not in that position, but if he was to bring the ball under control, and then Jota comes back round him and takes the ball off him and scores, was Jota still offside under the new rules? If Matty Cash gets a little flick on that, and then Jota goes and scores, well, all of a sudden he's onside. That to me is very, very confusing. But no, it was in the laws of the game, it was the correct decision. He was offside, and Cash didn't touch it. I know Carragher had a little debate about, is the rule, he's made an attempt for the ball. No, the ruling quite simply is he has to have made contact with the ball. It was the right decision, and to be honest, anybody who says differently in terms of the laws of the game, he's talking nonsense, because it was the right decision. It pained me, but it was.
Connor, as an unbiased view on the whole, I don't know if you saw the game or if you saw what happened with this VAR decision, but as just a football fan, not being a Liverpool or Aston Villa fan, what were your thoughts on the whole decision? Like, were you a bit upset? Or
I'm not going to sit here and lie to people. I was celebrating Wigan winning. I hadn't seen the situation. I hadn't seen it once. So I will pass you to Ravo if you've seen the incident.
Well, I was crying about Crew. I haven't seen the incident either, but you know my thoughts on VAR. I'm not going to get into that. Otherwise, we'd be here all day. We want to go and play football after the podcast. But
that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. Is in the football we know and we used to love. It's and we've said it all season. It was another one of those absolutely nonsense decision. But under the current laws
Yeah.
of the game, as things are viewed, it was the
Yeah,
right decision.
I haven't seen it, so I can't comment too much on the actual
I'll-
incident.
I'll-
But what I will just
I'll-
add,
go on.
my understanding of the Matty Cash thing coming off a defender is if the defender's playing it away from goal, whether it's under control or a clearance, if it's going away from goal, the direction of the ball's been changed, so then Jota will be intercepting that clearance, so that's why to be onside,
Right.
because it's coming off and he's intercepting a play rather than being fed a pass.
That was put into place because of that thing that happened at City.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I find it all a bit.
That
a
was
bit
my
daft,
understanding
because
of that rule about the Matty Cash
That's what I
thing.
mean. It's
That's as much
that's
as I
what
can
I
add
find
on it.
confusing and stupid, to be honest. It's the fact of not whether or not it's under control, but the direction in which he touches the ball and how he. It's just that daft for me. If you're clearly offside, right, you're offside. We need to just look at the laws of the game. Come the end of the season, we need to look at the laws of the game, and a lot needs to change because the game is we're losing the game, to be honest. But no, in terms of your question, Jake, it was the right decision.
Well, I'll change my question since you didn't see the incident. But the reason he was deemed offside, I know it was mainly did the defender get a touch on it, but the reason he was deemed offside was because of his sleeve. And do you think that's a fair decision?
Fair, probably different, but the reality is that is the rule.
Yeah.
And it's the same for every other 19 teams.
Yeah.
So if that's the rule, then yeah. If it's the same rule for everyone, then yeah. I still think it should be a little bit higher up the arm, but I won't go on to that because. But yeah, if that's the rule for the other 9 teams, is it fair? Absolutely,
Well, yeah.
that's the rule.
It's 100%. That's what I mean. In the laws of the game, there's no arguing with the decision. He's offside in the laws of the game, but
Yeah, but it's like the game we got into, we played, it was in lines, onside.
100%.
I think it's probably harder for me and you to watch because obviously we don't have VAR.
Yeah.
So those kind of decisions don't get reviewed. You just get the goal, and I think I'm so glad that we don't have VAR because you know if the referee's given a goal, you celebrate
It's a goal,
it's a goal. I would absolutely hate to have scored a goal, you're celebrating, and then you have to kind of just stop. You're a little bit like.
Do you know what it is though as well? And as I started watching the game, I said this right. The thing that annoys me with it is the fact of when we scored that goal, not a single Aston Villa player appealed for offside. Not a single Aston Villa player argued with the referee. They accepted it. They were, goal. Fair enough. We celebrated, goal. Everyone back to the halfway line. Kick-off was about to take him. All of a sudden, it's offside. Not one player on that pitch knew that was offside. But then, you're offside. That's just nonsense, right? If no one's appealing it, if that goal would have been given without being checked, Aston Villa would not care.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be bothered. That's what annoyed me. Everyone got on with it. The goal's given, everyone gets on with it. Everyone's to the halfway line. All of a sudden, I know he's offside.
So do you think that they should get rid of the rule of reviewing every goal, so kind of thing, or?
Well, to be quite honest, I mean, I think it's the laws of the game that needs to change. VAR, in terms of how it's used, can be effective, but the laws of the game are just absolute nonsense.
To be fair, I seen, and it was an interesting. I'm not saying that I necessarily agree with it because I'm not sure it'd work in football. But there was this one guy, and he was using the system that they have in cricket. Is it you're allowed to have 3 reviews? You're allowed to ask for 3. He was saying in football they should implement a rule where if you concede a goal, you've got 2 reviews that you can ask them to. But then I was a bit like, it kind of goes against what VAR is for. You're meant to check every goal to make sure that every goal's legitimate. But interesting, do you think maybe a system like that would work more effectively than what we've got right now?
But I think, and this is the difficult thing, if you then put a limit on your sort of number of reviews, yes, it'd bring the game sort of back that we love. But imagine you're a manager in the Champions League final, and you concede a goal. You're pretty sure he's offside from where you stood. You use one of your reviews on that. No, he's onside. Right, okay. Then you use another one of your reviews for a decision later. Yeah, that one's given, okay. But then later on in the game, you concede a goal that is blatantly offside. Everyone else knows it's offside. But you've got no reviews left, and it gets given as a goal.
But that's
maybe what it brings back.
What I would say is,
I just think that the laws of the game need to change. I don't understand it. I think maybe coming from a striker's perspective of what, to me as a striker, me having my arm forward deems no advantage
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah.
For me, you've either got to do it where has the striker or the attacking player gained any form of advantage from the position he's in? If you're saying, well, yeah, okay, he's clearly in front of him, so he's got a yard on him maybe. Fine, yeah, you've deemed an advantage there. But we've seen it before, the Patrick Bamford goal, he's pointing to where he wants the ball. By Jingo, how many goals would have been ruled out across the seasons from a striker pointing to where he wants the ball? For me, you've got to look at that. Has they actually deemed an advantage? Or, you look at, I've said it again, look at what Holland doing, where the lines are 5 centimetres. They're not these silly millimetre lines where it's dotted down and it's this nonsense. 5 centimetre lines, if the lines are touching, he's onside.
Yeah.
Simple as that. The striker gets a 5 centimetre advantage, whether that be his arm, whether it be his shoulder, and it's as simple as that. You get 5. But to talk about, again, millimetre offside is nonsense. It is nonsense.
Well, let's talk about Villa now, who didn't really seem to have shown up to the game. Like, yes, they got a goal, but it wasn't a goal they really fought for. They didn't really take the chances or make chances, to be fair. And Connor, I know, as you say, you've not seen like all of the game.
I've seen like certain halves.
Yeah,
you
may have seen bits, but what you've used in Villa just not kind of showing up to a game. Like,
I think for me it was the one time I probably wouldn't have wanted to play Liverpool if I was anyone, because they'd just come off the back of a fantastic result against Arsenal, a fantastic performance against Arsenal, then bad result in Europe which you needed a reaction from. I think it was just not a good time to play thingy, and I think we're starting to see Liverpool's quality again. I think we can stop saying that they're in this rut now. We can finally, I'm sick of hearing about it. I just think it was the wrong time for anyone to play Liverpool, and I think City could have gone there and they'd had a hard time. Yeah, look, Villa scored, but from what I'm hearing, they shouldn't have, and Liverpool battered them and stuff. And I think just like I said last week, a couple of results ago, I think just quality prevails in the end.
Do you know what it was? Say Villa didn't turn up. Liverpool, we were fantastic. It was like watching, apart from maybe our finishing and again that little quality in the final third, the rest of the play, it was like watching Liverpool how he was before all the nonsense, or before all the rot. Aston Villa, it was like watching a bottom of the league Sunday League side in terms of the passing. Every time they got the ball, they were giving it away. They gave the ball away, they gave possession away so cheaply, but it was more because of Liverpool's pressing. We pressed constantly. Villa kept giving the ball away. Salah should have scored in the first half. Tyrone Mings made another mess up. But again, it was due to the pressing. We were constantly creating chances because we were pressing the ball. Villa were giving the ball away cheaply. I'd say Villa didn't try an attack. They simply couldn't get out of their own half.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't so much that they weren't trying to come at us. Anytime they tried to give the ball away because they were being pressed. It was an absolutely fantastic performance from us. If we get that quality back in the final third, we could have won that game 6-7-1 easy. We had so many chances that should have gone in. But yeah, I don't think it was so much Villa not turning up. I think it was more simply the fact that they literally couldn't play. They just could not play. And I imagine they went off after the game. They probably had no complaints after the game that they'd been beat because they just couldn't get hold of the ball. They maybe strung 2-3 passes together in one play before losing it again. We were fantastic. We were.
Well, this game brought Liverpool into fourth, but Chelsea came in and quickly overtook Liverpool after they beat Crystal Palace 4-1. And I think all of us here expected Chelsea to win this game. Crystal Palace, I don't think have really done much this season. Like, I just quickly check. Yeah, Crystal Palace, they're on the lower end of the Premier League table. So it was a massive. It was expected for Chelsea to win, but I want your opinions on Chelsea are currently in fourth or fifth, I think. No, fifth. Do you think they are able to push into the top four and stay there now? Josh, I'll let you start with this.
I think they'll get top four. I'm not sure who will drop out of Leicester or West Ham, but again, I think it's what we mentioned about the quality and what Banksy said, quality prevails at the end of it. Squad depth is a lot greater than the teams that are above them. So I think we will get top 4. Equally, I think it'll probably be harsh for Leicester or West Ham to drop out of it, but I do think Chelsea will sneak in.
Yeah, it's very
I
tight.
agree. I think Chelsea will sneak in now. I think West Ham might stay in there. I really think West Ham might stay in there.
See,
It's very tight.
it is very tight. I've said it before. I think Leicester and West Ham will drop out, and I think Chelsea and Liverpool will take it. I think we're starting to see. We've said it before. Chelsea, we're starting since Tuchel come in really to see the quality of them. They've been fantastic, but I think, like we said then, we're really starting to see the quality of Liverpool again. Looking at Liverpool's running and saying we're starting to play again, we've got the easiest run of the lot. Leicester have a couple of games where you expect them to drop points. West Ham, you know, if they keep playing like they have done, they could be the ones that do maybe sneak it. But I think Chelsea and Liverpool will take it. I think this result for Chelsea was one they needed after last week. I think, and I know Colin mentioned it obviously before this, I couldn't agree more. That's the reaction they needed.
Yeah, I think Tuchel deserves a lot of credit because it's the first time we've seen him have a bad result at Chelsea and you're 3-0 up after half an hour at Crystal Palace after that. I think he deserves a lot of credit. It's the first time we've seen him have a bad result, but what a reaction from it.
Do you know what I think? I think he deserves a lot of credit because we've obviously seen Chelsea in the last week. There's been a lot going on off the pitch with the players. After that result, there was obviously Bakayoko. No, Rudiger. Sorry,
Gonna say
not Bakayoko. Rudiger. He's just
turning
up. Right, he's got. How are you losing
Right,
that? Right. Rudiger obviously scrapping with Kepa. The Tuchel making the players sit in silence while watching the whole 90 minutes of the game against West Brom. He deserves a lot of credit because he's obviously got the respect of those players. Because, I mean, first of all, for a team to sit there for 90 minutes in silence, you've got to be a strong manager to make your team do that, and those players not turn around and be like, not a chance.
Yeah.
The way he handled the Rudiger situation, he sent him home, he dealt with it there and then, the players carried on training. The way he came out in the media, controversial, where he came out and he happily just went, no, it was serious, it was bad. But he's obviously got the respect of those players, that he's dealing with problems then that they've got off the pitch. He's maintaining the respect of the players. And those players are then forgetting the problems that they've just had off the pitch. They're going out, good result against Porto, a fantastic result this weekend. He deserves a lot of credit for how he's dealt with things off the pitch and how he's got the players back focused after those incidents.
Off the pitch kind of stuff, I think him coming out and making a statement is just a natural thing because Jimmy Bullard was, you know that fishing podcast he does?
Yeah.
Well, he was with Ian Holloway.
Off the hook.
Yeah, that's the one. And he was with Ian Holloway. And they were talking about Paul Jewell and when they were both at Wigan, Jimmy Bullard and Paul Jewell. And he said that Jimmy Bullard had been put on the bench against Chelsea after he'd had a good game the game before and then he'd been put on the bench. So he's really convinced. So he goes to Paul Jewell's office and he says, like, I'm on the bench, Gaffer, like, what are you doing? And he said, look, Paul Jewell, you didn't mess with him, like, he's a big guy.
Yeah.
He said he got him up against the wall and was like, don't come in my office making demands and stuff. And he said, only Paul Jewell and the scout had seen it. And he said it was dealt with there and then.
Yeah.
Media didn't know anything. But he said if that had happened now, as soon as he'd have got out of the stadium, the media would have somehow been on top.
Yeah.
And he was like, this is just football. And he's been overly honest. I think Tuchel doesn't have this ability where managers don't really answer a question. If you ask him a question, he will give you an answer whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
I like it, but I think there's a certain line to where you go to, and I think that's sort of on the brink of the line.
I think that was the shock of it. Not that he'd come out and made a statement because he was bound to get asked about it, but it was the fact that he didn't. And maybe it was him again asserting his authority over this Chelsea team. He didn't even try and protect his players.
Yeah.
He simply come out and said no, it was serious, and he straight away there he's put Rudiger and Kepa both responsible for their actions. For me, it's the way he seems to be asserting his authority over the team. But it's working, and they clearly respect him. I think he's got to be careful.
It was clearly Lampard's downfall, I think, getting respect from the players. So the fact that I think Tuchel's probably seen that and gone, look, you're not being like that with me.
No.
if that's how he has to manage, I think, and it's going to get Chelsea into the top 4, I think so be it.
It is, but then do you think the second results start to go wrong, there becomes a revolt again and the players turn on him?
That just happens at
That's-
Chelsea.
that's
That's
what
what Chelsea is. We're evolving to all policy and glitches for
But
happening.
we've seen it before, and you see it with managers now. I think Mourinho manages very similarly, and when results aren't going the way, the players are turning on Mourinho, the fans are turning on Mourinho. Yes, it's football now, but I like that management style in terms of the fact that it's what Chelsea needed. But I do think he's got to be careful, because when it tips and results don't go the way, there could be.
It's a cursed job.
I think that's
however
what it
he
is.
manages the Chelsea job.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as you mentioned before, Dan, Chelsea got had a great game against Porto and had a great game against Crystal Palace. But my question, and I want all your opinions, so I'll ask you all. Should Chelsea now focus on the Premier League or the Champions League if they had to pick just
Great
one?
question. Ravo, you take it, but just before you say that, they didn't have a great game against Porto.
Well,
They were absolutely battered.
Yeah, they just got.
They were very,
Well, they
very,
got
very
lucky then.
Obviously, like, fair enough, you beat them 2-0 after being battered, but Porto were unreal. They were so good.
Yeah.
Fair play to Chelsea for getting the result after being under the cosh for 90 minutes, but Porto were very, very, very good. Ravo, you take the question.
I'll try. Yeah. Well, since they had two good, good game, 2 victories.
With the Premier League, Champions League, you talk about focusing on one more than the other. Chelsea can't do that. We had the conversation off the podcast before we came on, and I said, well, if City have to rest players for one, they can probably afford to do that in the league. But Chelsea can't. Chelsea, as much as we're saying they're going to make it, and they think they will, points-wise, it's not suggesting that. They could easily drop out just as much as Leicester,
But-
West Ham, or Liverpool.
I agree,
Could not make it.
but if you win the Champions League,
You get in as well.
You get in
I
it.
suppose, yeah, that's a
do
good
you
point
then
on the aspect.
sacrifice dropping down to...
But then
Seven,
the Champions League's a lot harder to win.
Oh,
and getting into the
100%.
situation we're in now.
Completely
This is
agree.
my point. You know, if we're being realistic, Chelsea in the semi-finals are either going to play us or Madrid. Quite frankly, in Europe, I don't think they'd beat either of us. I think over 2 legs, I think we'd do Chelsea, especially in Europe, just because 1, it's Liverpool in Europe, and 2, the history of the tie is massive. But then you look at the final, they're going to play City, Dortmund, Bayern or PSG. I quite frankly don't think they'd beat any of those teams, maybe Dortmund.
Yeah, I think
So,
with finals, it's what we said before. Finals are irrelevant regardless of stats and stuff.
It is, but I think if Chelsea are looking at it going, do we try and climb above West Ham and Leicester? Or do we fancy our chances to beat Bayern, PSG, Liverpool, Madrid? Well, they'll be going, we fancy our chances to climb above West Ham and Leicester here. I agree with you 100% though, Ravo. Chelsea don't have the squad to compete on both fronts necessarily.
Yeah.
Obviously, they've done fantastically to get where they are. But I don't think they can prioritise the Champions League over the Premier League. I don't.
I think
because
if you gave
they
them like a
don't-
choice of end one of the campaigns now, it'd be the Champions League that they'd end.
Oh,
But
I also
think they've got to go and get the top four.
there's a personal thing with the Champions League with Tuchel as well. Obviously, didn't do very well in it with Dortmund. Came so close with PSG. I think there's a personal element to the Champions League with him.
There is, but you've got to put that aside.
You're also
as a professional,
stupid
you can't
if you
focus on that.
Yeah, if he's sitting there in his office going, look, if we sacrifice the thing, he will win the Champions League. It doesn't easier said than done. Kind of.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's a top question because I don't really know. Can you prioritise any of them?
Yeah, I
See,
think,
but I don't know about prioritising, but I think for me, and I agree with Raylo, I think if he's got to go for one, I think they've got to finish top four.
Yeah.
Because the fact of the matter is, look, there's what, 7 games left in the Premier League? Okay, if they lose one, yes, it makes it, you know, a bit harder for them. But the fact of the matter is, they can still make top four. In the Champions League, you lose your games, you're out.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. Top four's the easiest one for Chelsea right now, and I think if they get top four, and the fact that it's a certainty of Champions League football.
Yeah.
If you then go, well, all right, we'll rest some players in the Prem, right, because we're playing easier teams, we'll go for the Champions League, but then you miss out on top four and you turn to the Champions League. You've not got Champions League football. If I was Chelsea, and I think Tuchel, I agree with Colin 100%, he does have the personal feelings for the Champions League. I think in the situation they're in,
yeah.
I think he's got to put that aside for the minute.
Get into the Champions League this season
Get
and
into-
go and get the Champions League next year when he's built his own squad more as well.
If they were sat in Man United's position, then you'd be saying, go and win that Champions League, go and try and win the Champions League. But with how tight it is, and the fact that I mean, they're in the Europa League spots at the minute. They could be playing Europa League football, which I think wouldn't be great for a club like Chelsea. For me, it's a top question, but I think if they were going to have one, I think they should go for finishing in the top 4 and certify Champions League football next season and have the chance of at least winning it again next season.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with that. But let's talk about a very important game for this team. Newcastle beating Burnley 2-1, which is a massive 3 points for them.
I think there's also a lot to say on that, and we're probably coming up to the half time.
Yeah, I just checked the time. It is just coming close to half time, so we'll leave you with a bit of a teaser of what's coming next.
Bit of a teaser.
A bit of a teaser with Newcastle and Burnley.
Coming up on halftime talks, eh?
Yeah.
But
It's PM now.
we are now just going to go for a quick little break so you can get a cup of tea, a biscuit. Or...
Where's the teaser?
Where's the teaser?
I've just said coming up on halftime talks.
Oh, you want a
went
proper
halftime?
Oh, you want a proper teaser?
Yeah, like.
Oh, well, we'll talk about the...
I'll do a little jingle.
Ah,
Coming up on halftime talks AM.
we've got the importance of the win.
Well, let's just go
Let's
to our
just
time.
go to
You see why I was going straight to
See
our
you
time
soon.
now? But yeah, no. Welcome back. Now we've got a quick little half-time game. I'm not sure what it is, so Josh, who's hosting today, please tell us what the game is.
Feel very honoured to be here. Usually it's Stan doing this at half time, but
We like to take
the game
turns.
was put together very last minute, so we're here and we've got a new host for it. And for you, Jake, today it is pronouncing footballers' names that we think you may struggle with.
And can I just say, I struggle with like
Normal
names
names.
You
that you should be able to know.
I will tell you now, these are a lot harder than Mateus Pereira.
Oh,
They
you're
are.
going to have some good googles, I can tell you
A
that.
lot
To
harder.
be fair,
Oh.
this first one probably is the easiest.
Yeah, you might get the first one.
You might do.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
Don't say that.
Let's begin.
Right, so this is the first name for those of you at home. Jake, how do you pronounce this man?
I can do the first name.
What are we doing? Like a point for each name?
Alright, right. Am I allowed to ask any questions like
No.
what country they're from or anything? like
But
that?
what
If
would
you
that-
want to.
What would that change when his name's
That's
on
what
Ah,
Jake wants to know
just-
what country he's
just-
from for the
Should we put an accent on
pronunciation.
there?
Yeah, just
Oh.
in case it might be like a little.
He's Colombian.
Yeah, I don't know, like the Colombian accent. So, so I'll just go. I'll have a guess. Carlos Valderrama.
It's not too far.
Well, it's not horrendous.
Yeah,
Probably a
it's more of a
point.
valve than a vol, but
Yeah,
Carlos Valderrama.
we'll give you that. It's a point.
Go on,
Point.
do
I'll
that.
take that.
Point given.
Because
Next
you won't
name
get
for
any
those-
more.
Next name for those of you at home.
I really hope there's some names I know. I
I'm
doubt
looking
it,
forward-
but I really hope.
Here we go, Jake.
Jacob. Oh,
Use the Polish rule for this one.
Yeah.
The Polish
God.
one Anthony briefed you on.
I'm trying to remember what the Polish rule was.
W's are V's.
W's of V's, okay. Sorry, let me just clear my throat for this one.
I can't wait to see.
Fresh out of the Scrabble bag for you, Jake. This one.
Cannot wait to see how he
Right.
pronounces this.
Well, just like the teaser on Countdown.
Yeah.
It does.
Countdown conundrum.
Yeah. Oh.
Either that or
Tea time teaser.
Wi-Fi
Right.
password.
So, Jakob. Oh, it's the middle bit, all the Z's.
Just
All the Z's.
go with it.
Yeah, the two Z's that are in
Name
there.
again for those
Well,
back
let's have
home.
it. Come on.
Jake, will you
Oh,
pronounce
just
your name?
go. Let
3,
it-
2, 1.
Let it roll.
Jakub Blazkowicz.
No.
Not quite.
No.
Yeah, no, there's no hope with
No
that
point
one.
given.
Jakub Blaszczykowski.
Oh.
Probably not in that accent. That wasn't very Polish. I tried.
Right, Jakub Blaszczykowski.
To be fair, I think Jay might be alright with this one, just if he recognises the name from the Premier League.
Okay.
See.
This is the name for those back home.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Here we go.
Armenian, if you need an accent.
Easy accent to do that, Jake. Famous Armenians.
Oh, even the first name throw me off here.
To be fair, if you get past the first part of the second name, you've got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright. I'm just trying to imagine the first name.
Do you mean imagine it, sir?
Well, yeah.
It's
I'm just.
well,
Am I,
those 7 letters at the start, Jake. That's the
oh,
first
thanks.
name.
Thanks. Henrique.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the last name? Come on.
This is.
Just go with it.
Just
Roll.
say what's natural.
Alright,
Let's roll for Tom.
3, 2, 1. Hipparion. I saw hit and I was like, I'm just rolling with that.
That is Henrik Mkhitaryan or Mkhitaryan, depending on how you want to say it.
I don't know where you've got a Parian from.
Yeah, I don't know.
But this one's probably the easiest name on paper, I'd say, actually, out of the lot.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
You should be
Use
alright
your
on
Polish
this.
rule.
Polish
W's for
rule
V's.
again.
Zokech. You said Polish rule?
Yeah,
V.
that's fine, that's
V.
fine, keep going.
V, not Z's.
Oh, I do it with a Z.
You do it with a Z.
Ah, it's very close.
It'd be
It's very.
Wojciech. You got it.
Yeah.
You just said it with a Z.
Oh, it's the Z's that throw me off. I'm not used to seeing a Z.
In
Oh.
about a week's time, he's going to go to Eden Primary School in Phonics.
Kids, what's this letter? I'm not used to seeing this. What's this black and white animal in it?
Skensy.
Oh, that's close.
To be fair, you
Wojciech
hit the
Szczesny.
post. Yeah, Szczesny.
Oh.
Close.
And for him to be a good job, he hit the post because he's a goalkeeper.
Yeah, he's a goalkeeper.
So it would have saved him a job. Greek, if you want to like get your accents going.
Alright.
I struggle saying this and I know how to say it.
Right. Socrates.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To be fair, you've got his name for commentary because that's what he goes as.
Yeah.
Papa Staphopoulos.
Oh, that's a good effort. I'm happy to
I'll
give
give
you
you a point on
Yeah,
that.
I think I'll give you a point. I struggle with
Socrates
that name too.
Papastapoulos.
That's
Oh.
all.
Yeah, I'll give you a point on that.
I struggle saying
I
that.
think
to
he
be
said
fair.
it more or less right, just a bit broken going being the
Yeah,
first time
yeah.
he's seen it.
Right, it's a
Fair
correct.
Point on that. Fair play.
I'm very happy with that one.
Here's Connor's suggestion for your game show.
I love him.
He loves him. He
Come on,
probably
Rich
loves his name
James.
and
Come on,
stuff.
Rich James.
Again, the Polish rule for you, Jake.
Right. Okay. Gregor. Krajkovic.
Oh, the itch.
It's Krikoviak.
Oh.
Good effort.
Oh,
Good
if you
in.
didn't do the itch at the end, you were there.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
So on two.
Last one.
do.
Dan
Yeah,
might have to
very
inform you of the
close.
nationality for this one if you want your rules because I'm not 100% myself.
Somewhere.
Just somewhere.
He is from
He's,
somewhere. That's his
he-
name for those
he's
who
on
don't
a
know.
That
Okay.
place.
India.
Israel. It's from Israel.
Yeah,
Israel.
it's Israeli.
Oh, again, the first name's throwing me off as well. Al Raza, something like that.
If you get the second, name. I'll give you the point.
Yeah,
Alright.
to be fair, he goes by Ali for in the Premier League commentary.
No, I think he's got really satisfying names to say.
Yeah, he has.
Jahan Bakic.
Oh,
What have you had in the itch?
I don't know. I do love an itch.
Where's itch?
Just, I think I was aiming for a sh at the end, but I just
I
came
said it
out
wrong.
as itch.
Alireza Yambakash.
Oh,
so it's only a short half-time game show because we only have the 7 names. But I
7
think
and
2 out of 7
Yeah,
is like
yeah.
percentage.
That's
we
one
both
of
had
Jake's
his
better
innings.
performances.
Yeah,
Good
to-
performance.
I was really close to the
Obviously,
wall.
it's too easy when I do, so we'll get Dan back on it for next week for you, make it a bit more challenging.
Yeah,
2.5 out of 7, good innings
Good
from
food.
you.
yeah, no, I'm very happy with that one. I was very
we won't need
close
to
to
pronounce
that
any
one.
Yeah,
in the
it's a
podcast.
cracking
but
effort.
Oh, we're
I'll
having a
come
bit
back
of
round here. Me and
seeing
Banksy will
Harry.
swap seats so I can just jump on at the end.
Good do, and we'll progress.
Well, talking about little twists, we said we was talking about Burnley and Newcastle, but that was a twist. Just to play a little game on you, we're actually going to talk about West Ham beating Leicester 3-2. So West Ham started and got a 3-0 lead, which they've done in quite a few games recently, to then almost lose it, which they've also done in recent games. So Connor, I want to ask you, why, like, if you're West Ham, what do you think's going wrong for them? Like,
Defensively, everything is going right at the top end of the pitch. Like, to go 3-0 up again, Jesse Lingard was unreal again. It's just defensively, they seem to just lose their heads a little bit when they go 3-0 up. It seems to be they get a bit of a nosebleed when they go 3-0 up. I don't know what it is, but David Moyes seriously needs to sort it out because, I mean, we started against Arsenal, slightly better side than Leicester probably. They've pegged them back. Against teams with proper quality, it's going to keep costing West Ham, and you can't keep going 3-0 up and then in the last 10 minutes you're pooing yourself, as I will say. But again, it's going all right at the top end of the pitch, and Jesse Lingard has been unreal again. But you can't keep then conceding 2.
Quick question: Arsenal better than Leicester?
In terms of quality at the top of the pitch, I think so.
He doesn't
Lacazette.
score. Yeah, but he doesn't score. So compared to
Lacazette
Vardy,
scored 2 goals the other day,
compared to Vardy,
and then scored 2 against West Ham.
look at Iheanacho and Vardy this season.
Iheanacho's only scored. Oh, he scored 2 against them. To be fair, no, Arsenal have better quality at the top.
On paper, yeah, but I think performance-wise, no.
I think so at the top of the pitch.
Go on, Josh. I'll let you decide. Do you think Arsenal,
That was just an off point.
Yeah, I just want to hear Josh's opinion on this. Do you agree
I
though?
what we're doing this. Can I take it
Are
to
you
them?
taking Vardy, Iheanacho, or Lacazette and Aubameyang?
On paper, I'd take
On
Arsenal.
paper, Lacazette and Aubameyang, but how they've played this season and the form they've been in, the influence they've had on their team, I'd take Vardy and Iheanacho.
Alright, well, while we're over at you, Josh, we'll have your opinions on how, just what's going wrong for West Ham, because they're getting these 3-0 leads, and then they'll slip in, they'll let it go.
Yeah, I think Connor summed up really well. Obviously, it's the defence going forward, the attacking quality there is very high. But you looked at the team that they started against Leicester. They've got a centre-half pairing of Diop and Dawson. Yes, it's Premier League quality, but in terms of being up there, that's not that quality. Without Souček in front of them, they play like Diop and Dawson. So when Souček is out of the game, Diop and Dawson look like Diop and Dawson, as harsh as it is. But then you've got the likes of Fornells, Lingard, Bowen.
Declan Rice
was out injured.
Yeah.
But when you've got Rice and Souček, it shows you up a lot more.
See, I'm going to play devil's advocate a bit here because you're saying what's going wrong for them. Out of those 3 games you're talking about, they picked up 6 points from 9.
Yeah.
7 points from 9. That's not going wrong. You've got 7 points from 9 against Arsenal, Wolves, and Leicester. 2 of those teams. I mean, Arsenal, yes, it's all about quality. Leicester are 3rd in the league. Wolves was the one where you go, maybe you should have done better. They got 7 points from 9. Yes, they're 3-0 up, and yes, they've won 3-2 and they've drawn 3-3. People talked about Leeds all season, scoring this many and conceding this many. Well, yeah, but West Ham are picking up points. If you get 7 points from that, look, don't get me wrong, when you go 3-0 up, you should not be going to 3-2 and it being that tight. Not at all. But they've got 7 points from 9 from it.
Yeah.
Is it going wrong? Defensively, they shouldn't be conceding like that, and they shouldn't be in that position 100%. I couldn't agree more.
I was waiting for the devil's advocate part. I was wondering who you were going to make us.
Yeah, no. But when I say wrong, I don't mean in general. I mean on the pitch kind of thing.
No, but it's not going wrong on the pitch because they're winning. This is the thing. So if you're David Moyes, right, and you get into the changing room after beating Leicester 3-2, do you really say to your team, bloody hell, lads, that was a lot closer than what it should be? Or do you go, do you know what, lads? What a result! Because it was. What a result!
I think in the nature that it happened, more the first one.
Really, after picking up 3 points against Leicester like that.
Yeah, but you're 3-0 up and it's ended 3-2, and the last sort of 5 minutes they were literally backs against the wall. I think the man that David Moyes is. I think if that's a Fulham getting that result, Scott Parker would be like, what a result!
Yeah.
I think when you're West Ham, you've clearly got quality. I think it's more the first one for me. I think he'd be a bit like, look.
For me, it's not so much after
again.
the game; it's when they get back onto the training ground. We've had 3 weeks in a row.
It is, but 7 points from 9.
I agree.
I agree with that.
Nothing is going
yes.
wrong.
That's
I
what
think to say something's going wrong is that's not the right phrase.
Yes. Do you think it's maybe when they go 3-0 up? Because let's be honest, West Ham aren't used to being 3-0 up in games. It's never really been like that for them. Do you think at 3-0 up they think, well, we've won the game here, and they become complacent?
Possibly.
And that's why. So yes, still got the defensive quality, but the complacency of being 3-0 up and then West Ham going 3-0 up here, can't really go wrong. Yeah. But then I imagine we'll all ask the question of, when do they learn? Because yes, they've won the games, but as we're saying, a lot closer than what it should have been when you're 3-0 up. At what point do West Ham learn that when you're 3-0 up, it can easily turn on you? But I think it's a complacency thing at the fact of when they're 3-0 up, they just start to relax. And when West Ham relax, as Bravo said there, they don't have the quality at the back to relax and become lackadaisical and become complacent in their game, whether they're 3-0 up or not. But I 7 points from 9. I don't really think anything's going wrong, but I think Moyes has got to start telling them, whether you're 3-0 up, whether you, at 3-0 up, you've got to play like it's 0-0. You've got 0-0. You've got to play like you're 1-0 up. You've got, especially if you want to be talking top 4 for you, you've got to be keeping that focus. Again, I talk about it through the 90 minutes. Whether you're 3-0 up, you're 1-0 up, whether you're 5-0 up, it doesn't matter. The game, it's not won. At 3-0 up, they're becoming complacent.
Yeah.
And yes, they've got the points, but yeah, again, I agree with Raven Banks. It is almost costing them.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about Jesse Lingard because again, he's been on fire. He's, every game he's going to, he's scoring. So at the end of the season, should West Ham buy him?
Should they or can they? I think is the is the
Well, we'll
question.
do both. First, should we do should it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
If West Ham aren't even trying right now to strike a deal, they'd be stupid.
They've already said they want to sign him permanently. The one thing that they've come out and said, I think it was yesterday, it might have been the day before, was that no matter what, they will not use Declan Rice as part of the deal. That's what they said. They've said they don't care if, but they'll pay money for him, but they will not use Declan Rice as part of any deal for him. West Ham will go and sign him. Well, we'll go and try and sign him. They already are trying to. There's talks, and I was telling Connie State, there's talks Arsenal.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing. I read that
Arsenal to
article before we
hijack
came
the
onto
bid.
the podcast just before.
This is the issue now.
But is Arsenal a sideways step? To West Ham right now, is Arsenal a sideways step?
My question is, if he goes to Arsenal, who's he getting over? Out wide, because Arteta seems to like Pepe. I'd in this current way, I'd play Lingard over Pepe, but Arteta seems like him. And then they've got Saka. Who's he getting over at Arsenal? The impact he can have at West Ham, and the impact he's already having at West Ham, for me, I'd tell him to stay there. But then there's the argument of obviously people saying if he goes back to Manchester United, well, he fills a gap that they need filling. But does he go back to how he...
a chance?
Well, if Lingard's playing like that and he goes back to Manchester United and he doesn't start...
Yeah.
We've
mentioned before, though, like always being
Ollie's
stubborn.
really stubborn with his team. He wouldn't get in.
That's what I mean. So for me, he has to stay at West Ham. But with him playing how he is, Manchester United will whack the price right up, and it's whether or not West Ham can go. To be honest, they'll get a lot of money from where they'll finish this season. But it's whether or not West Ham can go and afford him, because Manchester United now will put the price right up.
Well, on the Declan Rice thing, United have now turned their attention to Ruben Neves. Apparently, he's like #1 target now.
Well, if you were Man United, let's say, after seeing how Jesse Lingard has played for West Ham, would you not want to keep him, or would you want to sell him to get the money in?
It's the big issue of who makes the decisions at United. Yeah. Is it the director of football? Is it Ollie? If it's Ollie, then for me, he should just turn around and say, Jesse, I want you to have the rest of your career. Go play for West Ham. Go play for whoever you want to go play for, because you're not getting in my team. Diallo can't get in there. Dan James seems to play even when he's playing absolutely awful. He'll still pick him because he seems to like him. He's so rigid with his team. Lingard just comes back as an option, and I think if as much as Lingard will love United, and I think his heart will say, I want to go back to United and play, I think even though if Ollie's there, that's not going to happen. Yeah. So I need to go and make a move for my career. Whether it's Arsenal, whether it's West Ham, he needs to make a move.
Do you think that being at West Ham with David Moyes and experienced players like Mark Noble, talk about Craig Dawson, those sort of players, do you think it's brought a different sort of maturity to Jesse Lingard? Not just on the pitch, but in terms of his attitude? And
did anyone see the Mark Noble interview? The other day.
Yeah, owes him a night out now.
He owes him a night out, and I think that's the kind of stuff. I won't say the naughty word. That's the kind of stuff Jesse Lingard needed. Yeah, he's just got himself a night out with a paid apartment, but Mark Noble knew he needs to be sort of controlled, because he does have a bit of a wild personality. He has a bit of an attitude.
Yeah.
Mark Noble saying that to him, he's like, I'm going to
Let's
prove
challenge
you wrong. Like you think I'm just coming here to play on the wing. I won't score many goals. You've made that bet. I'm going to prove you wrong. I think he needs that, and it's obviously worked because he's been unreal.
What I will say about Lingard quickly is like, obviously there's the joke like the young upcoming thing, but for me, like, if I was to justify that statement, obviously he's not the young youth project he once was, but at United he's always going to be treated like that. He's the academy graduate. He's come through with you Rashfords, the academy-ness bit together, and he's a kid at United because of how he's come into their team. He moves away to West Ham, Arsenal, another club. He's a senior squad player.
Do you think
because of his age?
But do you think it's that, or do you think, as Connor said, do you think it's his attitude and his personality? Because let's be honest, him at Manchester United with the likes of Rashford and a couple of the other younger lads didn't act like a 28-year-old who'd played football for
That's true.
10 years. His attitude, he brought that persona upon himself because of the way he acted.
Yeah, that contributes to it as well. But I've seen it through new stands, academy graduates at any club, at Cotton Woods,
but
around them.
But they're not, because look at the class of 92. At the age of 32, none of them were talked about as young prospects.
Yeah.
For me, it's his attitude, it's how he acts himself, his personality.
Yeah.
And I think Connor's dealt in the head with the Manchester United don't have that experienced player that West Ham have with the likes of Mark Noble.
Yeah.
A proper leader who's been around the game for years, feels like forever. I think it's brought Jesse Lingard a different sort of maturity on and off the pitch. And I think if he goes back to Manchester United and he's in and around the same people as he was before, he just goes back to square one again. I think he needs to stay at West Ham, where there is, obviously Mark Noble's going, but there's still experience around him, especially with Moyes, because Moyes won't mess about like Ollie does. He won't let him behave like that. He's got the experience. He's got leaders around him who bring that maturity to him. It gets rid of that sort of celebrity, sort of wild, sort of immature Jesse Lingard, and brings Jesse Lingard into a grown man who plays football and loves football, and it brings his maturity on and off the pitch for me.
I agree with your point though about the academy, but I think it applies more to clubs like us.
Yeah, it probably doesn't apply more in below even it does in the
like
top
Joffrey
flight,
and Lang for us were
and
when
maybe
they were
just
playing.
like the fans when fans were saying, if
literally.
they say anything about them,
Yeah.
like it's over one of your own stuff. You can't say anything. You can't go against them. And for the team mentality that he's grown up in, it's because he's not known any different with that team, which is similar to what you're saying. It could be to do with managers. If they had longer with maybe Fergie, still there, a bit strict, a bit more hair dryery.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like this process United have gone through loads of different managers. It's that group of mates that have stayed there from the academy, and they've just they've had the reign over club, not the managers when it's come in.
Yeah.
So I do think a move away definitely it'll mature him as a player, probably as a person as well, and it is the right move for him at the time.
Yeah.
I think on the flip side of that, we have to look at Chelsea. Like Reece James and Mason Mount came from the academy. They were best friends in the academy, and that doesn't seem to affect them at all.
This is what I mean. That's why I'm not saying I disagree, because I agree with your point on Manchester United. I just don't think it really applies to. You've nailed it, Reece James, Mason Mount. Trent Alexander-Arnold now. Trent's only 23, 24, but we're not talking about him as a youth prospect. We're talking about him now as, on his day, possibly the best right back in the world, an experienced Liverpool player. For me, it's as you've said, it's on the club. It's on Manchester United as a club, and the fact that they've been allowed to. But I think it's on the person. It's on the people to mature. Reece James
it's
and
like
Mason
we said
Mount.
before, like the only person who can bring Bale back is Bale. The only person who controls the individual is themselves.
It's the individual.
So that is a point as well.
It is. But then I think you look at. Do you think Reece James and Mason Mount's loan moves maybe help them with that?
I think
I agree. I agree. It's Chelsea.
Different
100%.
managers, but not in the. So I'm not fully blaming it on myself, because obviously you do have to nurture them into the game.
It did,
but
it doesn't apply to Jesse Lingard, because he was on multiple. He went to Birmingham twice. He went somewhere else as well. He'd been on a couple of loan moves.
Yeah.
So yes, 100%. I think the loan Mason Mount Derby made him better. I think we made Reece James. I'm not going to say we made him better, but we developed him as a character. But at the same time, Jesse Lingard was at Birmingham when Birmingham were playing very well in the Championship.
Yes, that's true.
It definitely affects, but for some reason it hasn't with Lingard.
That's what I mean. So then I think that's when you start to look at then the individual.
Yeah.
You know, so like we talk about Reece James, talk about Mason Mount, you look at the likes of Trent. As you said, the ever loan moves help develop them as characters, but they matured in their own right. They Jesse Lingard just hasn't done that, which is why I do think that the move to West Ham is perfect for him, because he's got the players around him that he will need to actually look back on, at the end of his career. Because if he plays the way he is for another 5-6 seasons, maybe 4 or 5 seasons, people look back and go, he had a good career. He achieved stuff. He'll carry on getting in the England squad if he plays like that, and you won't look back and go, he had no right. He'll have had a good career, but he has to mature now and make those mature decisions for himself. I think he has to turn around. If United don't want to sell him, he has to turn around to them and say, look, for the sake of my career, I want to go, and that's where I want to be.
Well, as we've just spoken about Man United man at West Ham, let's talk about Man United and their victory against Tottenham, where they beat them 3-1. And United are consistently winning after they concede. Like someone will score against them, and then they'll just go full at them and get quite a few goals. And Connor, I want to ask you, why do you think that is? Why do you think they have to concede first to then get into gear?
I think the question that someone needs to ask Ollie. I think I don't have the answers because I don't see what goes on sort of behind the scenes. But what I do know is United were awful in the first half. Yes, they scored and it was wrongly ruled out and stuff. Tottenham could have been 3-4 up. United could have been swiped away. I don't know why they have this mentality where they have to go 1-0 down to start playing. I'm not sure where that comes from. It's not really something that I've seen for a long time. But I think it was more Tottenham sort of collapsing than United being good, because United were awful in the first half. Tottenham were just then worse in the second half. Tottenham should have just carried on what they were doing in the first half, and they'd have seen that game out, and they wouldn't have just seen that game out, they'd have added to the goals they'd scored. But yeah, I don't really know why there is that mentality, and I'm not sure how Ollie breaks it, to be honest.
Yeah, it is questionable, because I don't see, as you said, they shouldn't have that mentality of we need to go down to then get into gear. They should just be straight out of the gate. We need to get goals. And there was a bit of a controversy in this game as well, with Son getting, I don't know what the word to use, getting knocked in the face by a United man.
Getting brushed by a breeze.
Yeah. I was going to say, whatever word you were going to say, it's not punched like you've got down in your nose.
Well, that's from what I've seen online. I've just quickly noted down punch in quotation.
Do you know what the shock of it all was for me? Is that it was Son that did it. It was Son that went down.
Yeah.
Now I know a lot of, especially in these days, if there's contact in the face, go down and stuff. I wouldn't have expected that from Son.
Yeah.
And the fact he stayed down for so long and he was rolling around it. He's the one player on that pitch I would not have expected it from.
Yeah.
I was quite surprised when I saw it was him who'd reacted like that. It's just stupid. Absolutely stupid. It's a natural position. It was McTominay. McTominay's in a natural position. He's moving forward. He's trying to hold Son off. As both players are moving, he's brushed his face, and Son's gone down like he's just been shot with a sniper rifle.
Yeah.
Well, McTominay was saying in his interview after, he was like, "How do they expect me to play as a midfielder just with my arms down like this?" He's like, "How can you then, without committing a foul with your arms down, hold players off the ball? Yes, he's behind me. I have to try and move my body like that."
Even when you shield someone, your arms don't stay next to you.
Exactly.
Even
It's
if it's just an
natural.
elbow like that. It's natural. It's how you play football.
You can't not do it. It's a natural body reaction, not just for football, for anyone. If someone's behind you and you're trying to keep them away from something, you're naturally like that. And he doesn't even go to push. It's just so he can move his body.
Yeah, it's not like
the thing is,
sorry,
if he hits him on the shoulder, it's not a foul.
No.
Why that? Just because it goes a little bit higher, is that then a foul? Just because it's his face? No, I'm sorry. If I went like that to you, is it really that foul? If I go like that to you, that probably is a foul. I don't get that. For me, just because
it wasn't like that in his face.
It wasn't.
Sorry
to use you all the time.
It's alright.
It's becoming a bit electric.
It's become a bit of a crash dummy.
But I've made a point before. I mean, stupidly in the laws of the game, it's apparently a foul, but really it's not. For me, the question comes into it of simulation.
Yeah.
Players will continue to do that because they know they'll get fouled, and we've seen it before. A possible red card, Souček incident with Mike Dean. Well, we can get McTominay sent off here, luckily it wasn't. But for me, players will continue to do that until there is a punishment for players doing that. Simulation and getting booked to simulation doesn't seem to exist anymore. It's once in a blue moon, which baffles me because if you've not been fouled and you go down and the referee says, it's a dive. Well, in the laws of the game, it's a yellow card.
Yeah.
Now, that's the sort of stuff that we want to eradicate from the game. But that won't happen unless there is punishment and unless there is implications for the players that go down stupidly like that in order to try and get players sent off and in order to gain an advantage and gain a foul for their team. It's nonsense. But players will continue to do it.
The worst part about it is, if that gets given in real time, there's no VAR, VAR's not a thing, let's say. That gets given in real time, the ref's not got a good view of it, he thinks that McTominay slaps. Fair enough. That has then been watched by a referee and still, they've not allowed the goal. I don't know how anyone can watch that in slow motion and think, oh yeah, he's gone with intent in the face there. That for me is the thing that I just can't. If it gets given in real time, it doesn't get checked. Referee's not had a great view of it. He thinks McTominay, then fair enough, you accept it. Not after someone's watched it and still ruled out the goal. I couldn't. That for me, I don't understand it at all.
Yeah, no, it's a tricky one. Like I said, it was blatant. He just went down after a brief contact. But let's now move on to the other end of the table, and we're finally actually getting on to Newcastle. Who did beat Burnley 2-1, as we said before. So let's start off with the importance of this win for Newcastle. Josh, what do you think? What will this mean to Newcastle?
I think it means the safe if you're just being brutal about it. Like I said, I think they stay up. I've said for most of it, as much as we talked about form, West Brom's form, picking up a few results and improving. I said throughout, I don't think the bottom three will change. I think that result for Newcastle secures that. Brighton have leapfrogged Burnley now as well on goal difference, so I think they were one of the teams who I was saying to be dropped in. So I got it wrong about Brighton, but I think the result for Newcastle means I've got it right about the bottom three.
Yeah. So made me laugh actually because I remember when the game was going on, Burnley went 1-0 up, and I actually messaged Connor saying Newcastle they don't seem to want to stay up.
Yeah.
They just can't seem to take points when they should. And then it finished 2-1. For me, in that game, that's the mentality that Newcastle needed to have been showing the last few weeks.
Yeah.
They've done it now. It could mean the safe, but Newcastle are a team that could very easily drop 6 points. They just got to rely on the fact that Fulham keep dropping points as well. But I think they will, so I think Newcastle will be safe. It's the mentality of that they went 1-0 down, but they went into the game, even at 1-0 down, even at 0-0, I think we need the points.
Yeah.
We get the points here, it is massive. They finally done that, and they went and got 3 points. Look, not many teams after going 1-0 down to Burnley come back and win, especially not at Turf Moor.
Yeah.
Come back and win it. So it's a fantastic result for Newcastle in every sense. But they've finally shown for me the mentality
that
they needed to have shown. They've probably done it just in time, but I think they'd have been a lot safer if they'd have showed it in the last 3-4 weeks. But they've finally done this, but they showed the mentality they needed to. They went, they got 3 points. Any win at Turf Moor for any team, I think, is a good win.
Yeah.
But
I do worry about Newcastle next, because I think St Maximin will leave. He was absolutely unbelievable in that game. Without him, Burnley win the game. Jacob Murphy scored an absolute class goal, but they could have scored 3 or 4 more just from St Maximin running at players. Obviously, he then did get his goal, which was just him running at the back line, and he gets a chance to shoot. He was unreal. I do worry about Newcastle. If he goes at the end of the season, which I do expect, I do expect someone to pick him up. I worry where that comes from. They're going to have to go and spend money again because they don't have that.
That's what we said before, though. I think Dan made a point. It seems to be becoming a thing now at Newcastle. Yes, to the end of the season, they sack the manager, get a new one in. He goes out with 40 million, brings in a new striker or winger, They just about stay up. They're not happy with just about staying up. Sack the manager, key player goes, give them more money, and we go again.
It's a very vicious cycle at Newcastle at the minute. That look, there's been problems behind the scenes for years, especially higher up with the board. But it is a vicious cycle. Connor's right. If St Maximin goes, which I'll tell you now, any team in the Premier League there, maybe Bayern, maybe Man City, any team in the Premier League there would go and pick him up. Any of them, and for I'd say maybe 15 of them, he'd start every week. He's a fantastic. Newcastle getting him was massive, but he will go to a bigger club. And quite frankly, after that, they have no quality at all. It will happen again. What's confusing is they made some good signings in the summer, but those signings they made just don't seem to have performed at all. You look at the likes of, I thought Jeff Hendrick was a great signing for them. Hasn't performed. Callum Wilson, I thought was absolutely fantastic. Again, I'll say this is a player we were talking about. Chelsea signing a few seasons ago, Arsenal wanted. He's gone to Newcastle. He's not got them the goals that really he should be doing. The problem for me comes at Newcastle in the fact that they're going signing players, but these players aren't performing, and it happens season after season after season, and eventually, we've seen it before, we'll see it again, it will cost them. And I agree with Connor. I think next season they are in real danger, regardless of if they go and spend money, because the thing, it seems with Newcastle, no matter who they go and sign, it doesn't work for them. I think got one.
They've got to look next season as well. Norwich are going to come up. They're very, very close to it. Watford will come up. And then I think Norwich will be worse than the next season just because Norwich cannot do it in the Premier League. No. I think Watford will be better than them. Watford will prepare because they've got that experience in the Premier League. They've only been out of it a season. I think if the likes of a Brentford come up, there's a chance Brentford might be better than them. I think Newcastle need to look at next season and go, look, we've got to make sure that there are 3 teams worse than us at the minute. The way it's going, there won't be.
But the thing is, at Newcastle, and this sort of, I say, is that every sort of few seasons they seem to find maybe one top player who then goes maybe 2 seasons later. Jose Perez was one. You talk about Demba Ba, Papi Cisse back in the day. Jose Perez, now St Maximin, but then you're talking about they're spending 40-50 million sort of every summer, but they're bringing in names but who don't perform.
Mike, the annoying thing with Newcastle is, if you look at the attackers, Alan St Maximin, Callum Wilson, I like Almiron. I think he's a good player.
He's class.
If you could get them 3 playing, why would you not try and play a system that complements them 3? I'm not saying go out and be as expressive as like City and that, but if you've got 3, you're spending money on your front line, and then you're constantly just so negative in games. It doesn't make sense.
I think that comes down to, I think we've seen it. They seem to be pipping for managers who will keep them up. Which the one manager that they had that would not have done that was Rafa Benitez. Yes, he brought them. Yes, he went down with them and he brought them up. But I've said it all along, and I said it when he was there. If they'd have backed Rafa, they'd be a hell of a lot better than what they are now, because Rafa would have brought in players and they'd have played a system that would have worked for Newcastle. He just didn't get backed. Now they're in a dangerous position, and they're picking like Steve Bruce. Steve Bruce he's not going to play a style of football to suit St Maximin, Wilson, Almiron. It's not how he plays. But I think Almiron's maybe another one that could go and get picked up by a better team. I think Callum Wilson will probably, if Newcastle, I think he'll stay with them. But I think Almiron will get picked up by a better team. St Maximin will. All of a sudden, you've lost arguably your 2 best players, and 2 of your most creative players, if not your most creative players. You've nothing then, and they'll go and sign players, but they won't do it for them, and they're in massive danger, big danger.
Well, Burnley and Newcastle are only 1 point between them, with Burnley just being on top. And the next games coming up, Burnley has Man United and Newcastle has West Ham, which I think most of us would consider pretty hard games for both of them teams. So what do you think both of them teams need to do to try and get something from the game. We'll start with Burnley against Man United. What do you think Burnley now need to
Burnley.
Do a Burnley.
Burnley have to do what Burnley do best.
Burnley, yeah.
Simple as that.
Be horrible.
Burnley have to sit back and play like Burnley.
And we've
play.
seen Burnley get results against United doing that.
They've done it. They do it against United. They do it against us all the time. The Burnley just have to do what Burnley do. But it's simple.
For me, Burnley are just looking at this now. We'll just get a couple more points. We're safe. I think Newcastle will be looking at it a bit like that now. Get a couple more points. It's in our hands. We're not really that worried anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Had Newcastle lost that game, I think they look at it and go, we're in real trouble here now. I think that result for them makes some pressures off a little bit.
Yeah.
What do you think West Ham now needs to do? Do you think they need to stick with that mentality they went with against Burnley, or do you think they'll try and change something?
Go again. West Ham.
Try again.
Yeah, Newcastle playing West Ham next game.
Yeah, you said West Ham do what they did against Burnley. When did West Ham?
Oh, sorry. No, I meant.
Oh, what do West Ham have to do go against Newcastle?
Yeah. So, what do you think Newcastle?
Score
what
free and not
mentality is it?
concede.
Yeah.
Score free and not concede.
Go 3-0 at half time and don't concede
And
3 in the
don't
second
concede
half.
another
Practice.
It's very simple.
conceding.
lads.
So what?
No, do you know what the Newcastle?
Do you think-
Yes, West Ham have been brilliant. They are scoring free, but I think Newcastle now, with that pressure being off, if they go out and actually enjoy the game, and actually go at West Ham a little bit, there's a chance they could nick points. I think West Ham are too good for it, and I think they will win it. But at the 2 games, I do think Newcastle, now the pressure's off a bit and they can go and enjoy maybe the game, there could be a shock, but I do think West Ham will just be too good for them if West Ham don't concede too.
Yeah, I think that is a fair assumption. You know, they need to proper just go at them and enjoy it. I think that's the only thing they can do at this point, and try and just get above Burnley just so they have that extra layer of security.
Yeah.
But let's look at another team in relegation that again had another big win. West Brom beating Southampton 3-0, which for West Brom, they're now getting brilliant results from their games. They beat, who did they beat last
Chelsea,
week?
finally.
Chelsea, yeah, they beat Chelsea last week, and now they beat Southampton. What do you think's changed, Josh? I'll go with Josh. Yeah, what do you think has changed with West Brom to now give them the push to get these wins?
I think it's Big Sam's coming. It might be settling down to him, getting used to how he wants them to play to get the results. But I'd also like being a bit harsh. Like, yes, okay, they've won 2 on bounce ball. That won't keep you up or do much. But okay, if they play well, they might get a few more points and push higher. But they've got a minus 31 goal difference. I don't think it'll change anything in the long run.
It won't. Do you know? I think the surprising thing for me is, you know, people talk about Big Sam and the way he plays football, but this is West Brom. They've scored 8 goals in the last 2 games, and I do think they're too far gone. But you look at what Big Sam's done with them. You're talking now, they're what, 2 points behind Fulham. You know, 2 points behind Fulham, and what, 8 from from safety, but they were miles away. They were looking at finishing on similar points to Sheffield United. What a job he's done with them, regardless now of whether they go down or not, which they probably will. What a job he's done, and some of the results he's picked up with them are fantastic. This one against Southampton's superb. 5-2 against Chelsea is incredible. 8 goals in 2 games for a manager who plays dinosaur football.
I think he's probably just gone. Look, if we're expected to get relegated at the end of the season now, so let's actually try and win some games, because if we get relegated, no one's really disappointed. It's expected.
Yeah.
So why not actually try and win games? Yeah, okay, if we leave ourselves up at the back, we're expected to go down now. Like, if we go and get beat 6-0, people are expecting it. But if we can actually go and then beat these teams by playing maybe a little bit different, because playing Sam Allardyce football, you don't score 5 goals against Chelsea. He's got to have changed something in the system. You don't score 5 at Chelsea playing Sam Allardyce sort of system. But he's probably gone, look, we're expected to go down. Let's actually just try and win some games along the way, kind of thing. I don't think it'll keep them up. I do think they were too far gone.
Yeah.
But you look, if they win two or 3 more games, it becomes a lot more tighter. I don't think they will, but they've given themselves a little chance.
Yeah. Do you know what, the one thing for what West Brom saying, we're talking about them scoring goals, what they seem to have actually done, that you just touched on it earlier, Josh, the goal difference is ridiculous. But they're actually tightening up at the back a lot, which is something Big Sam always does bring. In his first few games it didn't work. I know they had a few bad results, but now he's settled it. They're tightening up at the back. Did not concede to Southampton, they conceded 2 to Chelsea. Scoring 8 and conceding 2 against Chelsea and Southampton is fantastic. They're tightening up at the back now. They're actually, as I think Banks has absolutely nailed it there. They're just going out and enjoying it now. Going out, relax, try and win games. Because then at the end of the season, we're sat doing it now. They're giving it a go.
Yeah.
Fair play. You're coming up with some fantastic results. He's doing a great job. West Brom are doing brilliantly. They've made it look fairly respectable now. But they are technical, but I do just think they are too far gone. But they've really strengthened. I think it's a shame it's happened so late on in the season, because I think if they'd have done it a lot earlier, I think they'd have actually possibly had a big chance of staying up. But if anyone can do it, West Brom will do it.
Well, let's talk about Southampton really quickly. Conceding 3. Where do you think they slipped up a bit, Connor?
Well, I think we've been saying it now for weeks with Southampton. It just feels like a bit of a broken record. But I did say a couple of weeks ago that they shouldn't concentrate on the FA Cup, because I feel like they still had stuff to do in the league. I think now that they're going to stay up, because I expected Fulham to get a few more results to make it a bit more tight. They're not going to do that now. So for me, the focus now just goes on to the FA Cup. But every single week it seems like we're talking about Southampton just being crap again.
Yeah.
And they are really stuck in a rut at the minute, to the point where I think if it carries on, I'm not sure if Ralph has a job at the end of the season. They've been on an awful run.
This was, I was going to ask this question anyway. It's been in my head for a while. Is Ralph Hasenhüttl? Look, I love him. I think he's a good manager. Is he the right man for Southampton?
Is there a right man for Southampton? Because the same that happened with Newcastle seemed to be happening at Southampton for a long time. Then we got a Mark Hughes, it didn't work, so then they ended up getting Ralph, and then before that there was someone else. What was that guy called? That Claude Puel. And then he ended up somehow getting the last job. But that happened 3 seasons consecutively. Yeah, Ralph's still in a job, but they seem to go for this system. They get a manager, they get a manager halfway through the season. He keeps them up. Next season he gets like a little bit of the season, gets sacked, they get a new manager. It happened over and over and over. I'm not sure at the minute there's a right man, because they don't seem to give him the chance to build a team. But it looked like they'd found the right man with Ralph, but you can't excuse the absolute demise they've gone on this season.
So, I mean, they had a very good season last season. They looked like they were going to have a fantastic season this season, and all of a sudden they're now 14th. With that squad, yes, there's a couple of places they can strengthen. I mean, to be honest, you can always strengthen. But with that squad, they should be higher than 14th.
They're better than Palace.
They're better than Palace. I think without Jimenez, they're better than Wolves. I honestly think they're better than Villa.
Yeah.
With the squad, I think they're better than
Leeds.
I think they're better than Leeds. And then I think after that, you're looking mix and match. Maybe we can come up. They should not be 14th.
They're below teams that they shouldn't be below.
No, and you look at it. If Danny Ings goes, if Che Adams doesn't continue his scoring like he has in the season, he's had a bit of a dip in form. I think, depending on if anyone comes knocking, I think they might keep all the Vestergaard. Depending on if anyone comes in for him, because I think, to be honest, I think a few big teams would want him. But they're another team who they're better than 14th.
Yeah.
They just aren't getting the results. I love Ralph. And
I wouldn't be surprised if he gets that. I wouldn't want to see it, because I do like him, but I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of the season move on now.
And then I think they'll just go and get someone random, because there's not many.
But who will they get that's better if they were to get rid of him?
Do you know who'd be perfect? But I'm not sure he'd take it, obviously, with a bit of the thingy. Eddie Howe. And if he doesn't take the Celtic, I know he's holding out a little bit on the Celtic job. He's stalled negotiations just in case something comes available. I think Eddie Howe at Southampton would be absolutely unreal if he holds out this Celtic negotiation, because I know he wants a job in the Prem. That's why he's holding off on this Celtic. But I think that'd be a perfect fit, and I think he'd have it for years then, because he's got that. it's the same kind of thing with
Eddie Howe at
Bournemouth.
Newcastle maybe, if
Possibly.
Steve Bruce does go.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
If anyone can get an okay squad on paper playing, it's Eddie Howe at Bournemouth.
It is.
I wouldn't like to see him at Newcastle
no.
because I think it'd ruin him.
Yeah, I wouldn't like to see any manager that I really like take the Newcastle
That's
job
true.
because it's like when Rafa took it, I didn't like it because I knew
Yeah.
it wasn't going to be a great move for him at all. But Southampton Eddie Howe would be fantastic.
well, I was going to say we've been a broken record talking about West Brom and Southampton, but unfortunately we're going to have to do it again talking about Sheffield, who had a defeat against Arsenal, which was 3-0, and we keep saying this every week. We've done this, haven't we? Pretty much.
Every single week.
That there's nothing Sheffield can do anymore.
No.
No, they're just
Are they
waiting for the
mathematically
season to
gone
go.
yet?
But do you know what? I think they're not. I think they're a result away from it. It's
Yeah,
something
they
like
need 7 games left, 21
21
points,
points.
35. Yeah, Newcastle get another win or they don't, they'll be there more or less.
Yeah, but there's not really much to say about this game because you expected Arsenal to win it, you expected
They won
Sheffield United to lose. It doesn't really change much for Arsenal because the teams above them are still winning, so it doesn't really matter. Yes, it's a good win for them off the back of a terrible result. To be honest, Arsenal after the result against us were probably very thankful they were playing Sheffield United because it was their chance to, answer back and turn things back around again. Yes, they won 3-0, but then for me it's on Arsenal for the next game. I know we spoke about after the Tottenham game, they just did not carry that confidence into the following games. They were absolutely abysmal against Liverpool, absolutely shocking. And the thing is, they've won against Sheffield United. They need to go now and start winning games. That's what they need to do. Winning this game's fine. They've just now got to move forward and carry on winning games.
See, the only team I can see Arsenal going higher than is Everton.
Yeah.
I think that's the only team they can get above currently.
Yeah.
I think the thing with this game, there's not much to say because we're talking about two teams whose seasons are pretty much done.
Yeah.
There's not. Sheffield United will be in the Championship next season, and Arsenal will probably not be in the Champions League. Well, it depends if they win the Europa League. They're one of the favourites to do that. I don't think they will.
Well, the 1-1 against Prague.
Prague.
But they're still one of the favourites with United. I don't think they will. I do not think they'll win
I
it
fancy
at all.
United for the Europa League on
I think United, but I just think we're talking about two teams whose seasons are absolutely done.
It's a cup game. It's a cup game next year, and it's irrelevant in this year.
Yeah.
Well, since I mentioned Everton, let's go on to them. Being our last game were the True against Brighton 0-0, which again it seems just like kind of a mute game. Like there's not much to add on here.
We got a comment off eBay.
eBay.
UK score prediction for Wigan versus Sunderland tonight.
Up the ticks.
eBay UK is a tick.
I'll go. No, I'm going to be an honest Wigan fan. I do think Sunderland will do us over. I think you do us 2-1.
Cheers, eBay.
Cheers,
Thanks,
eBay.
eBay.
Thanks, eBay.
Thanks, eBay.
No, didn't know Sunderland. eBay was a Sunderland fan, but fair enough.
eBay might be a Tix fan.
Yeah.
If you're still here,
You're a
you're a
Tix
Tix fan or a Wigan
Yeah,
fan.
eBay.
It's a Wigan.
Who do you
It's a
support,
Sunderland.
eBay?
Oh, it's a question we need to know.
I can't wait for Amazon to come in and just start chucking dig
Amazon just...
Oh,
eBay and Amazon having a scrap on our tree.
Amazon's fully a Macam in. eBay has to be a Tix fan.
Right, carry on this.
well, while we wait for them to tell us if they're a Chelsea fan or a Sunderland fan, let's talk about Everton and Brighton. And like I was saying, it was
I
a 0-0.
support Latics.
eBay supports
Latics. Up the fucking ticks, Latics. Come on.
Oh, well,
I'll change my score prediction there. We're going to beat them 4-0 on that.
Sponsored by eBay.
oh,
I'm just going hard in case Amazon's an Oxford fan here. Come behind my computer.
oh, well, that's some happy news for us. But,
eBay's a tick.
yeah. So, Brighton Everton, like I've been saying, it's a bit of a mute game. Like, Everton, they seem to have slipped in their form. They've not seemed to be winning recently. And Brighton, again, just not scoring. But for you, is there anything Everton can do to try and get themselves back into getting into one of the top positions, or is it a bit of a
No, look,
1-1 don't.
I'll reply after. We'll continue with the point.
I think we're just at the minute. We've obviously said they've got a lot of injuries, but for another team now again who I think just aren't winning games they should be. Well, I say they were unlucky against Palace. They scored in that, I think it was the 85th minute. They then conceded in the 90th, so not really lucky. Another draw here again. I think with Everton, honestly, I think it's the fact that they've not got the squad depth. I think they went out very early in the season and all the way through the season at teams, picked up great results. It's now got to the back end of the season and they've got just quite a few injuries. They've burnt out. The players, you watch them when they play, they look lethargic, they look fatigued. They don't look like they did at the start of the season. They don't look like the fresh Everton squad, fresh Everton players that they had. I think it has now got to the back end of the season and they've burnt themselves out.
eBay, that's correct.
Yeah, eBay
Brighton should have picked up 3 points.
Yeah, Brighton outplayed Everton last night and should have really picked up all 3 points.
Yeah, 100%. We've seen it again with Brighton. We talk about it with Brighton. Yes, they don't score enough, but the football Brighton play, we all said the football Brighton play is outstanding. They just can't score.
See, that's what I was doing this morning. I was having a little re-watch the highlights.
Well, I'm glad eBay's just made that point because I looked at the team before this and I was like, what on earth is that team? But he said there's 10 players injured. Yeah. And it's always going to be hard for them at the end of the season. Yeah, like we said about squad depth. But I looked at the team before this. I know Brighton battered them.
Yeah.
I looked at the team and I was like, they've played like 7 defenders. Like, what kind of team is that?
They haven't won in the last 4, but I think point to eBay is just making fancies arguments. That's just
it is. They've got.
If you've got 10 first teamers out, you're going to lose.
100%. I think it's obviously the impact of the season, but again, I think it's the fact that they burnt out too quick, and now they've ended up with the fixture list that they've had, and the fact that they came out the races so quickly at the start of the season. They have just burnt out, and we're now seeing with the injuries, they quite simply don't have the squad depth to stay in and around the European spots with 10 players out injured.
To be honest, it's a point we made about them being in.
Godfrey slotted in the midfield. I like Ben Godfrey, but I probably wouldn't be playing him in midfield.
But it shows the lack of squad depth, and they don't have the squad depth when they've got 10 players out injured. But it's no disrespect to Everton because most of the teams in the league don't. To stay in and around European spots
10 players.
With 10 players out injured.
That's your team.
It's exactly the point we were making a few weeks ago when Everton were still in about Europe. If they get there, they need to bring those players in because behind that squad, we've argued it about United as well. Yeah. Behind the first team,
there's not much.
Even in the first team, there's only 3 or 4 players who are there, who you'd be wanting there every week.
I think, I do think they'll miss out on Europe, but. It's Ancelotti. He's still got that sort of pull, but he's got to go and continue his project and bring in the players to.
I think it's sad to see how much it's deflated. I mean, we were talking that wherever they finish, it was going to be a good season because they weren't going to drop out of Europe, and now we're talking about Everton probably will not get into Europe.
No.
The only team that can squad. Yeah, to be fair, we were saying
that a bit earlier on
before about City. We said that they're the only team that could take 4 competitions on with their squad depth. So pretty much what you've just said.
Yeah, 100% eBay. That's
get eBay on.
It was never any.
Of the year, I'm eBay on my tablet. So you're just giving us a few things to say about.
No, 100%. And as I said, then it's no disrespect to Everton. Even as a Liverpool fan, it's no disrespect to Everton whatsoever because. The rest of the teams in the Premier League simply don't have that squad depth to deal with it. It's unfortunate. Do you know what, even as a Liverpool fan, it's very unfortunate to see where Everton was and now they're dropping down. I think Ancelotti's just got to go out in the summer. They've got to try and keep Europe this season. If they get into Europe, incredible. I think they will miss out, but I think they do just have to go and carry on their project in the summer and bring in more players in the squad depth, more options, and carry on doing what they're doing. I think that's all Everton can do, and Brighton just need to get themselves a goal scorer. And I think, to be quite honest, I think they'll be safe again next season because the football they play is incredible. They just need goals.
To fair, I was watching the highlights.
I might go and play for them.
Yeah, no, I was watching the highlights this morning just to have a brief reminder of the game. and some of the chances they had were absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
Like they were unreal, and they just missed the mark. And
Yeah, if you just don't have a goal scorer, they're relying on Mapai and Welbeck for goals, and they're not. Neither of those two. I know Welbeck's got a couple.
They're both Premier League strikers, but neither Premier League strikers where they'll fight you much above where they are
Exactly. That's what I mean, and that's that. Do you know what? That's all Brighton are missing because they're good everywhere else. But are Brighton quickly before we finish? Are Brighton going to lose a couple of their players in the summer? Maybe White, Dunk,
Yves Bissouma maybe.
Basuma.
I don't think Dunk will go. I think he's had his chance to go. I don't know where he would go. I think Basuma will go, and I know United have got a keen eye on him as well.
Yeah.
I like Pascal Gross there, but I don't know if anyone would be willing to take a chance on him.
I think he's one that would maybe stay.
Lamptey maybe had a good season.
Arsenal apparently interested in Lamptey.
I'd give him another season at Brighton before I'd go and sign him.
Go and sign someone, yeah. But I think
that is the full-time whistle on this podcast.
Just before you wrap up, enjoy the game tonight, eBay.
eBay.
Thanks for joining
eBay.
me.
Before, eBay said he thinks it'll be 1-1 with Dudu scoring.
Dodu. Well, he was class against Doncaster, so I hope he scores again. And I hope we play exactly the same as we did because we were fucking unreal. But hope you enjoy the game, eBay.
But yeah, no. Thanks for joining us. From any part. Thanks for talking to us.
Contributing.
Yeah, you have some good views. We appreciated that. If you want more, follow our socials. They're everywhere.
Especially our TikToks. Get on our
Get on our TikTok.
We are massive.
We are huge
Yeah.
on
Have a quick
TikTok.
update for us for what we're on.
We've got a couple of videos.
The
Just
last
couple.
one.
Well, while he's
Just a
checking,
couple.
eBay's coming with the last comment of Brighton needs a striker like
Piatek.
Piatek.
Lucas Piatek. Yeah, but
Would he
he
go
did
there?
goals, but would he go? That's the question because he's class.
We've just hit 16k.
16k on one of our TikToks.
So basically, just go and follow and that because
Just
we're
like following
class.
stuff,
Yeah.
massive.
We're not sure when we're next streaming, but we will update you on our Twitter, Instagram.
Just all of them.
We'll
TikTok,
update you on
all
every
that.
social media we
Do
can.
everything.
But yeah, thanks for coming, and we'll see you later.
Nice one, eBay.
See you
Cheers,
later.
guys. See you later, bye.